let us begin with some messages. Being yourself with mindfulness, mindsight, and mindset means you are a functional adult and that you enjoy that lovely fertility, the energy, which brings together more open, courageous, creative, and joyful ways to bring up that lovely fire of life and the lovely tree of life all together with other people who know what passion is. That's the functional adult land. So you use your masculine and feminine as a smart person, which means stable, mature, adaptive, rational and teachable, but adaptive or adaptable, either or. It's an acronym. I love it because that's what flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable brains, thanks Dr. Daniel Siegel for that one, faces. So when you have integration of the brain, it means you know that your thoughts the emotions, sensations first, and then the thoughts on the left mode, okay? So you know that you have a mind with thoughts, and that's our divine masculine or masculine. No, divine masculine, divine feminine, although divine doesn't mean for the 5D collective anything except for pure consciousness, which is when you have secondary consciousness. So you are a blank slate because you know how to be a functional adult. And we're going to read some more. So give me a minute. Okay, so you know with your masculine, feminine, but we can break down masculine, the left mode, and feminine, the right mode, and it interchangeably happens as I share with you different pieces of information. Also for faces, brains, which are integrated brains, which are functional adults, we don't get picky with words. We actively have fun. It's a whole 3-year-old heart, no shame button. And so we don't have masters. We actively are conscious creators all the time. That's why divinity descends upon us, thanks Sadhguru, your humanity. So when you're overflowing in a restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating, that's why you do mindfulness, mindsight, and mindset, inner growth here at IHP. So with that being said, you're smart, again, adaptive, rational, teachable, and therefore you know you have a mind with thoughts and a heart, body with emotions and sensations. And that is why the practices on a day-to-day basis are what you say yes to, because that's self-awareness, accountability, and regulation mindfully. Okay, so you don't do, I don't want to do for self-help. You know what? It's pseudoscience bullshit and self-help crap because it doesn't work. Yeah, that doesn't work because a narrow consciousness is doing all that, which is a 3-year-old with still a shame button, a 1-year-old that doesn't have a home, and a 16-year-old that is actively being a spiteful little pain in the butt, quote unquote. Adaptive or maladaptive child patterns, it depends. They don't know their lens, so they're modulated and dysregulated, embodied selves. They act like Cuscos and squirrels, and those are all porous boundary people. They don't know boundaries at all. It's called they have low self-esteem, indirect communication. They are passive aggressive. Nobody needs to be that. When you move into functional adulthood, it's really nice. You have empowering, expanding piece of consciousness conversations. You don't deal with anyone that believes stereotypes or generalizations are true, or that actively think that they can use them in ways that are completely, absurd. But that's for me because I have a master's degree. That might be it. I don't know. No, I think it's because I have healthy self-worth and I got taught how to be a person who would know that my thoughts and emotions were not irrefutable facts. My 14-month-old knows this. My 3-year-old knows. My 8-year-old learned this when I got disowned by my twin. And that's because my mother explained that you cannot be physically disowned. It's impossible. Because she's going to be, until you die, your twin from, there's birth certificates, so paper. Now, there are those who want to make everything subjective. A piece of paper means something to those entities that you will want to cooperate with so that you can make a difference. So the people who want to argue about all that stuff, I've met them. I have a funny story about that one. Okay, so yeah, when we deal with anyone who has a modulated or dysregulated embodied self, we know they don't know how to regulate, and narrow states of consciousness are uninteresting to the enlightenment, soul age group people. The path of enlightenment, the human way, raise your hand. It's called you being yourself as a functional adult. Come join us if you want to be here. Obviously, you have a window welcome to emotions, not laundry. And you say, yes, my thoughts are subjective, as are my emotions. I'm not going to argue about it. We also don't bend down backwards and over because somebody is going to say, you're a piece of shit. We're going to say, I'm so sorry. You know what? Can I ask why? Can we clear it up? Yes? No? Do you know how to repair splinters or ruptures? Are you a functional adult or are you an adaptive child who just made it all about you? Cusco. Yeah, you know what? It's a pleasure, Cusco. I do know how to love unconditionally. And with my own flaws and imperfections, I have a tail, Eric, and a father and all this stuff. So, I'm going to do it with integrity, which means I walk a walk and talk a talk. Because you know what true spirituality is? It's a life of meaning and connection beyond the solo self. Doesn't mean I'm going to bend down and backwards and overs because you don't know what projection is. But I will say, I'm so sorry that I stepped on your eggshell. I will apologize as a decent human being will, and make sure not to cross your little eggshell place ever, ever, ever again. So you have fun with the Braveheart people that wear mantles. Those are spiritual bypassers and mantles of mental health. And anybody who wants to demonize or romanticize anything, which, yeah, smart people, we don't do it. But we do spot the actual Peter Pans with Pinocchio on that island. And anyone who falls for the 7 to 14 will know who they are. How dare you question all of my shamanic master? And well, I see you have a leader. That is very interesting. And then 2 years, 3 years. So how's your master doing? No, no, they're not my master. My new master is my boyfriend or girlfriend is my master. And it worked really hard to keep the relationship. So, with that being said, mysticism, it is a lot of fun to be a divine feminine, and I feel bad for every masculine and divine. It doesn't matter, the divine thing. Any person who has narrow consciousness, I feel bad for them. But I will know exactly what they do the minute you say, hey, I think you're dating a stromboli right now. I think you're being treated like a piece of shit. I don't think. I actively know because you just told me they told you that you're a piece of shit, and I'm going to let you know you're not a piece of shit. Now, you do want to respect people, but there's also, do you know how to respect yourself? No, you need to. So when you get yelled at for protecting, no, you don't protect people. They're not in danger. When you get yelled at, quote unquote, for actively standing up for the inner child of every person, you learn how to just, if you can't say something interesting to the inner child that wants to be good boy, good girl, let me pull you on a leash. The one thing that's going to drive any actual divine feminine that's connected to pure consciousness, Rabbi, you don't know what a feminine is because you're not one. It is a fact that you may think that I will pull on a string so that you can actively put into practice that which is called free will. Determined keeps definitely a divine feminine humble. We don't need to blame Lucifer. No, we have unresolved trauma, and people who are smart enough to get that 3-year-old, aha, 3-year of age. Yes, you do. Not, I found it hard to believe and I don't want to do any of this shit. Yeah, you know what? I have Pat Ogden. She's awesome for sensory motor, sensory body, all that stuff. So anyone who wants to tell me that they know everything about their self and then they act like a Cusco, yes, sure you do. You know what I know? You are human just like I am. You have a heart just like I do. I got the blessing to have an inner child adult all the time because my mother, yes, and my twin. So I know why I've been determined. I can eliminate, if I wanted to, the entire conversation where faith is involved. But I am a faith. I come from faith. And I did tell God, I said, hey, God, I promised Jesus, not what the grandiosity human beings who are living the medieval times. I don't know where they are at. I seriously don't know. Today I know. Any person who refuses to bring sciences and spirituality on the same line, one, they're competing. So, they got someone on a pedestal. There's an imbalance. Their 14-month-old definitely is ruling them, but they're being led by Peter Pans. This is what a smart brain, any human being who has actively smarts in their brain means you have your left and right. Otherwise, yeah. So some people say, no, intelligent is regurgitation. Yeah, sure it is. Intelligence, there's one, I think it's 7 to 8 of them or something like that. And if you don't have the mental, your left, and the right in your own ownership, yeah. So when I hear, anyway, it's bullshit, it's crap, sure, go to the Zen master with laundry. That way you can have fun being in that. I'm going to tell you, humanly speaking, did I get lucky? Yes, I did. I was determined with secure attachment with a twin, so I didn't get to have this thing of not knowing that you can fight and get disowned and that it's not true. So by the time I'm 8, I know I want to help people and you can't get disowned physically. So I'm not going to renounce my name because I don't agree with the system. So the story, we'll save it for a second one, but yeah, I got a funny story. So there are people who actively say, you made me sign something and I wasn't in the age of. And I had a lovely conversation with a human being who eventually started to yell at me because I asked, are you going to help people who want to do what you're doing to do it? It's because of stupid people like you. And I'm like, whoa, okay. His tone was what his nervous system. I said, somebody's pissed. I'm in the middle of the mountains. and I just triggered. I don't know what happened to him. So you sit quietly when somebody's triggered. People think it's fear. No, it's actively let me stay calm so that they don't get more agitated. The 3-year-old can calm down. The 16-year-old can maybe just begin to get a little, and I got saved by coffee, saved by the bell. Yes, and so I said, thank you so much for this very interesting conversation. I didn't say anything about the manners because this is what people don't know. When people are biologically rude, you can talk to them from today to tomorrow. When people are adaptive child, maladaptive child, and they definitely are in codependent relationships and they defend anything that's on their pedestal, yeah, you can keep talking. Pachas know not to lecture Cusco's, which is why we let Cusco bullshit us at the end of the movie, because it's still unimpressive. Divine feminines, we're unimpressed again. Rabbi, it's okay to start something new. We will know that you can tap into the infinite potential of you if you want to. It's called being yourself with your inner child adult. You don't want it, it's okay. There's a Zen master who tells you all about how not to keep on trying to do mindfulness, mindsight, and mindset. Because seriously, the path to enlightenment, I chose love thanks to Jesus and God, and I keep on having love. Oh, and faith, because I feel it in my bones, and I'm a mystic, which I love. It's the best of both worlds. So sciences and spirituality, they say one and the same thing. We are members of our herd. And yes, there is kindness and goodness inside of everyone, but you're not inherently good or evil. In fact, there's a scale. His name is Michael Stone, forensic criminologist. The only scale that I use, evil. They all need therapists. Lucifer, I'm not blaming you anymore. I'm going to let people know what happened. You got not securely attached. So that's something that you kept longing for. It's called the people who go fucking drinking, drugging. They in fact get told by men why women don't get texts back from them after they fuck them, which is basically that they also feel contempt, disgust towards us, and shame. I don't know if the shame is towards us or the other, but the men don't actively say, hey, go to therapy, men. And women, please do know, don't be offended. That would have been insightful, educational, empowering. Yes, something a lot more delightful and actively where the suit would have matched. But apparently there are those who just like the suit, the message, and actively bring forth this very thing. Like the other message, this one. Hold on, let me get in pose. Women, come on over. Come. And I'm not even dressed. I need to go and buy a fancy dress so that I can look exactly like her. And remember, if he fucks you, remember, don't think of wedding bells. I know you are. Ha 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 ha. And I'm like, wow, how old are they? No way, this isn't happening. This is on screen with billions and millions of followers. They can't be that way, can they? Oh yes, I forgot. There's the relationship soul age group people. Oh, like what they did with twin flames. Seriously, the minute they started to offend my divine masculine, it's like, okay, now it's personal. You're offending me. Like when they offend humanity. Because they say that us polyamory people apparently overestimate the usage of your brain. So anyone who allows themselves to be called stupid, I have to say, I was a teenager and I'm like, you know that we're humans, right? You know that if you say all people are stupid like this with intent, you're called. So, being yourself again, functional adults, it's really called common sense in the land of the living. Raise your hand. No shame. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, twins. So we will have another episode. Again, anyone who wants to actively live life, yes, yoga helps. No demons. However, there are trauma charges. On that note, not everybody wants to become their self. Remember, I don't want to be me. Ew, why would I want to be me? Well, that's your first cue that you want to go to Patrick Teahan. Childhood trauma survivor. He is healed. I always say healing, but he is actively there for all those who take seriously their own childhood developmental trauma and that they don't want to keep on dating toxic people and make their toxic relationship actively make sense. Twin flame is a real deal, not what you see out there. All that stuff, yeah, it's really cute when you see teenagers. Anytime I say teenager, it isn't a teenager. I'm 44, but it's any person who didn't get out of their 16-year-old. You see them all over the place. So I know what they're doing because, see, again, don't worry. I'm getting nudged. So Sadhguru gets nudged in different ways. I, Maria, get nudged, and if you can't say something nice, say nothing. And remember, you don't know everything. Yes, I don't. And remember to stay humble. Doesn't mean bending down backwards and over. No, and I can be just as stupid as anybody else can be, which is why, again, being yourself is really fun as a human being. And enlightenment, it's not a flat line. That Zen master, he really needs to get it together. Oh, that's right. So the path to enlightenment, there's 4 paths: bliss, delight, I got lucky. And then there's pain and loss. And the ones from pain and loss, what I've noticed is that they tend to stay stuck. It's stagnating energy. They could get out of dysregulated, modulated embodied self, but then these same people, they go to courses like the ones that I've taken for trauma attachment and say, so we have to stay in modulated embodied self, because they actively haven't healed their trust break or traumas or any of it, and they're in classes listening with an ear of a 14-month-old and a 3-year-old and a 16-year-old who didn't hear what they just said about our health. And then you see the experts look like a ghost because they're like, no, 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 what you just spoke is like, no, that's not what you're. And I'm thinking, how old am I? Because I thought the stupid people would stop being stupid once they grew up. And again, I don't mean to make it that I'm smart. I'm saying when a person has non-bilateral integration and they actively do not have childhood developmental trauma, that I can totally understand. I'm saying a human being who's in a classroom and or more who actively doesn't know how to follow instructions. I actively sit in classes and I'm thinking, I paid a fucking buttload of money. I didn't plan on being with children in here. Why are all these human beings actively acting like they know what they're talking about? No, that's right. Because you know what teenagers do, right? Anyone know Cusco? Anyone notice when Pacha says, hey, Cusco, Yzma and Kronk, we're going to kill you. And he twists it. And he twists it so much. And that's actively what happens in real life. It's way better in a cartoon than it is when you're actively noticing human beings who actively speak to you and you're the woo-woo lady. It's okay. I like to be woo-woo. You know why? Hey, narrow piece of consciousness. I'll see you later, alligator. I had fun. Peace out. So when you have smart women, men, and days, they actively don't want to be around stupid people. And then we know that we're all stupid. So as I'm done actively being very humorous, but seriously, as well as... I love being in the Enlightenment Soul Age group. I didn't know how much I would love learning how to share with you all these words that I had heard growing up once I got to have clairs. See, it's very simple for me. Before clairs, after clairs. That's why mystics and actual divine feminines, we don't think that we feel more than any other person on the face of this planet, because you know what? A divine feminine will actively know the minute that one, she has expanded her tapping into the sphere, and then I will let you go. So here's the key. There's no special whatever. It's you come into enlightenment from one end or another end, and then there's a lot more that people give you, and you're going to only tune into voices that resonate with you anyways. So you're not listening effectively to anything if you're changing it with your own thoughts. And that's if a person's not mindful and mindfully aware of yourself, you don't know your lens. If you don't know how to be your own Jacob, it means objective. You have flaws, so do I. You have weaknesses, so do I. We're heard. We complement each other, period. Not any better, not worse. If you got envy, jealousy, spite, you want a good therapist first. Then come on over to IHP, meaning for active mentorship and or for stories. You come whatever you want. However, you're going to keep distorting things as long as you're not a human being who knows how to regulate your own 1-year-old and say, there are going to be things in life that I don't like. And then to not call it laundry. The Zen master who's older than I am, I'm thinking, what did you do with your life, Zen master? Because I'm 44 and it took me a bit of, no, every day of my life I kept on moving here. I have 2 hands, 2 feet. I have health. I have family. I have money. I'm not being killed every day. I mean, this is so straightforward, but this is where I know why. Again, but I also know the ones who could be here and that they became teenager assholes who said, no, everyone's evil. I'm going to blame Lucifer. I'm going to wear a superhero cape and a supervillain cape. So there's groups of people who definitely are where they're at because they didn't begin in a certain place. There's other groups of people who are where they're at because they chose to say, you treated me like that, and I'm going to treat you the same. And then they made some cop-out excuse of how that's justified. Bullshit. Is what I tell anyone who has had secure attachment. The ones who didn't, they have to get here first, and they have a chance at something. Your free will is the minute that you encounter me. However, if you didn't have the capacity to have a self that was not distorted, you are not yet able to see. It is only once you can be yourself that I will know I'm in the presence of an actual human being who can think. And that means you can use your prefrontal cortex. As long as you're in your safety behavior of your brainstem, it ain't Lucifer. You actively have what is a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 16-year-old leading your way. You're not intelligence. So you are not going to be somebody that I'm going to engage with and take seriously, because Pacha don't take no Cusco seriously. You're not tapping into your potential. You act like you are. You actively don't know what life is all about. And the fact that you make shitty things like getting drunk, going and fucking people, and what else? Doing drugs as a highlight. I mean, seriously. I was a teenager and I'm like, okay, you're all playing bullshit grown-ups told me. As I got older, I wondered, what's happening? I'm in college. You're spending money. Why are you complaining about fucking people? Don't fuck them. And I'd get, no, you don't have to do anything. You just told me you're miserable. And actively, when you tell people how to handle something they're complaining about, no, well, then don't talk to me about it. Why are you telling me that you want a sounding board? Oh, well, there's only so much I can hear without saying, you know what, I think I'm going to leave if you don't want to hear my opinion. And if you just want to cry about being what? In misery. So you don't want the therapist. You don't want to hear it. Why are you engaging with a healthy self-worth person? Go hang out with the people who do. That's where it's so straightforward, which is why any of those other people who call to them, the same people, yes, girls, and they're all laughing. I'm just thinking of my college years. And I'm like, that's 20, the adolescent brain. Okay. But still, that doesn't make any sense. Anyways, I digress. And I didn't mean to digress. So random different shares here and there. But to me, I got lucky with healthy self-worth household members. I mean, really, this is the one thing I can say. Apparently, all these human beings want shortcuts to heal trauma. You don't get a shortcut. And then when they get information, they treat themselves like a program. You're not a robot. And now we have scientist people who want to use AI to actively disprove reality. This one's hilarious. I got to watch, I think, one of the guys it's kind of like with Robert Sapolsky and his Determined, though. The same way he's going about saying God doesn't exist and you don't have free will. Wow, that's a blanket statement. I mean, sure, you've done some analysis, but you're not the only mouth out there, Robert. And you actively did go out of your way. I mean, if you read his introduction, it's good. I haven't read the book yet. I just needed to read why you did what you did. I'm like, oh, there's Cusco. Why did Maria do what she did? Well, I did what I did, for example. I'm the same. I'm an 8-year-old. I said I want to help people. And then I got to be a 16. I want to help the same. I want to help you to be you. I'm letting you know you can be you with flaws. Oh, and integrity. You live with society. It doesn't mean I come up to you and yell in your fucking face or spit in your face. No, but when people do tell you polyamory are masochists, and you're like, well, not all of us. Some of us have healthy self-worth. Well, that's pretty hard. Well, let me ask you, this has happened to me, my lovely viewers, because see, this is when you start to notice how many people talk shit about themselves in the face of a person, and you actively think, I need to be polite to you, because if I tell you what you just told me back, you're going to say, how dare you? And so you say, so you made choices. Aren't you happy with the choices of your life? And you try to end a conversation like an actual human being. In the meantime, my brain's thinking, wow, then he didn't hear what he just said. It's hard to be healthy self-worth, and he's in his mid-30s. I didn't realize it would take that long. What, 80-year-old? You need to be 80 to get mature enough to know self-love. Oh, that's right. The lovely princess lady. Remember how she tells, I tell my women, they need to give the man a meaning to live. Sure, I will. No. Pure consciousness, free will. You get to choose, because you know what? At the end of the day, guess what I know? I'm a mystic, and I have faith, and I have all of that, which is the woo-woo land. I know sciences, and I know dark matter and dark energy, and I definitely know what people don't want to believe. And what I do know is that, yeah, the ones who do know it as well, excuse me, you're confusing sciences and spirituality. This human being did this thing, but he and I agreed. The end of the world, sciences. Why? Because it proves what spirituality says, and it dispels the myths. And who doesn't like it? The same ones who call New Age Luciferian. They call New Age Luciferian because apparently they want to bring forth somehow the fourth dimension as if it's stuck in stone. And I'm thinking of when I read about the mythological Greek gods and Roman gods. And I'm thinking about how people who live pseudo aliveness really don't want to get out of that. And pseudo aliveness is not a body that is in their integrated brain. It's an active body that doesn't have integration of brain yet. Nope, it's non-bilateral. And actually, they have a default mode network that is still working on that very traumatizing household environment that they have. It's really sad. They go sympathetic, dorsal, vagal. That's what happens when you learn how the brain and the body work from smart people who have been doing and will continue to conduct research. Yes, and so again, I love to notice how people have no idea, the 4D collective, or 3D for that matter, that they are in human bodies, but they consistently don't want to get their marbles back. And so, with that being said, join IHP because we have just as much fun, just a little bit differently, because your pseudoscience, woo-woo spiritual lady actively does enjoy helping people to be their true self. Your true self is your 1-year-old and your 3-year-old. No shame button, though, because you don't want to master. Say, good boy, good girl. Oh, you're so cute. You know why? Let me get serious again. So when you wake up in the morning, I know all about crying when I would wake up in the morning. I'm not kidding. That's why I'm so thankful, Marcus Aurelius. Why worry about something that you can't do anything about? We have what is called secondary consciousness. The existential psychologists call it a dilemma. When I heard of it, I was like, it's not a dilemma, it's a condition. I use my mindful brain. I can do mindful listening of Maria. I can do mindful talking. People using words. Now put it into practice. From here, and here, and here. Oh, and your gut. It only gets good once you have that clear slate, which is I don't judge you or condemn you or do anything of thinking that I am better than you or lesser than you. Healthy self-worth is I have an open heart. And if you say, I don't like you, I will say, I'm so sorry. And usually, though, picky people like me, we pick the members of our herd. We don't let just anyone in. And we're okay with not being picked for volleyball and any of that other stuff. We don't want to join. We have better things to do with our brains, and it's not putting our bodies at risk. And I'm not kidding with you right now. So some people, they're more interested in actively just pursuing whatever it is. I mean, I got taught about the yogis. There's this one, I won't tell it on screen, but I will never forget. Sadhguru, thank you for that very insightful information. So I took, what was it? One of the ones, the elements, the 4 elements, really beautiful. I cried when we talked about water. I got also flashback. No, it was a past life regression moment. I'm pretty sure I was in that dungeon, who knows how long, but I cried because of knowing how precious water is. It was a good cry. And he also shared with us that there are yogis who actively, which again, I won't present it on screen. I just was like, wow, they spent all that time not engaging with people and doing that. That sounds like so much fun. I'm so happy I'm in the present and I'm not in the past. And I'm so happy that the future will not be what the past was, because torture chamber shit is really not fun. So on that note is why we are the woo-woo people, the 5D mystics. Oh, a divine feminine can share with you. I love sciences and I love spirituality. And sciences proves there's no demon that possesses anyone. Patrick McNamara, a neuroscientist. Unless you don't want to believe in sciences because, you know, you'd rather believe ancient scripture and therefore call New Age spirituality people Luciferian because you don't like that we're saying, okay, look, we have all these people from the past. They're from the past. We're going to translate and change things up now because, you know, it's a different era. And I do understand why. It's like when I shared with a lovely loved one that I curse. They're like, but you're not vulgar. I'm like, I don't consider it vulgar. I don't curse the people in their face. It's to express the emotional. So I understand age groups, and then I understand people who don't want to grow up. And I remember being a teenager and trying to do all the proper things. You know what happened? I got taught, you can do all the proper things you want. Oh, you can be by the book. Something happened, yes, actively, where I was like, this is not a dilemma. It's a condition. I have no way out of it. Yeah, I'm not going to share that story either. I just knew I was pissed. I was pissed because of everything I was trying to do so that I could get where I was trying to get. And, oh, yeah, like I didn't have any tattoos. There's a piercing I didn't do because I was like, okay, if I'm going to end up in politics, that's what I thought I would do. I chose not to. I need to maintain a specific type of so that I can be. Little did I know we'd end up here today. Had I known this, I probably would have been a lot different. But anyways, let me put that to the side, shall I? And just finish up with as like there's no way out. You're just gonna have to trust the system, if ever. Oh, and then you get told how the system is corrupt. So anytime anyone has some shit to say, it's always crap. So I remember Albert Einstein: stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution. Some of us, we're conscious creators, so we stay away from people who, anytime you say anything, they just break it down. It's boring. In fact, that's why I'm unimpressed with anyone who's only a masculine. If they're a divine masculine, they have a divine feminine, then we're going to be impressed. I'm going to know it. You know why? Because I'm going to have an inner child adult, actual successful brain, successful entrepreneur. These are all the people who know we're not dumb. They actively know you can achieve a flow state. Now, we actively know that we're not all in the same economical spectrum, all that. So we come together so that we can distribute and work together, not by making everybody else miserable. Anyways, that's a long story for that one. And we stay focused on spiritual self-help. I help you to be yourself. We heal trauma one person at a time because you're a functional adult, and therefore we give healthy self-worth opportunity to those who are wanting to be their authentic self and they want to do relationships like functional adults. Join us for more humor. We're going to have another episode. Thank you for stopping by. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back with more.